Greetings and welcome to this edition of
Positronic Hypersonic.
I'm Barry P. Cook, and we're here to talk to you about Furiosa, a Mad Max saga, the most recent film in the Mad Max universe. So let's get into it. As the film starts, it's years after a global catastrophe which left Australia a radioactive wasteland. And the green place of many mothers is one of the last remaining areas with fresh water and agriculture. Some raiders discover the green place while a young Furiosa and her sister, Valkyrie, are picking peaches. Furiosa attempts to sabotage the raiders' motorbikes, but the raiders capture her as a prize for their leader, Warlord Dementis of the biker horde. Furiosa's mother, Mary, pursues them to the horde's camp. And although Furiosa mortally wounds the last rider before he can divulge the location of the green place to his leader, Mary is unable to stop him from delivering Furiosa to said leader. Again, Dementis. Later that night, Mary sneaks into the camp and rescues Furiosa. The biker horde gives chase. Mary stays back to buy Furiosa time to escape, but she returns to her mother instead. Dementis captures them both and forces Furiosa to watch her mother's crucifixion. He then adopts Furiosa as his daughter, revealing that he himself is still haunted by the deaths of his family during the catastrophe. He also says he hopes that she will eventually lead him to the green place. During her captivity, Furiosa tattoos a star chart to the green place on her left arm so that she can one day, hopefully, find her way home. After receiving a tip from a stranded war boy, Dementis and the biker horde arrive at the Citadel, another wasteland settlement with fresh water and agriculture. Dementis and his forces are repelled by the Citadel's leader, Immortan Joe, and the rest of his fanatical army, the war boys. Dementis changes course at that point and uses a Trojan horse strategy to capture Gastown, an oil refinery that supplies the Citadel with the gasoline it needs to pump water from its underground aquifer. At peace negotiations, Dementis demands that the Citadel recognize his authority over Gastown and increase its supply of food and water. In exchange, he trades Joe, his personal physician, and Furiosa. Joe imprisons Furiosa with his stable of wives, hoping that once she comes of age, she'll bear him a healthy heir. Furiosa escapes, though, when Immortan Joe's son, Rictus, tries to place his Walla Walla Bing Bang in her ooh-ee-ooh-ah-ah without her consent. Disguised as a mute teenage boy, she then works her way up the ranks of Joe's men for over a decade and helps build the War Rig, a heavily armed supply tanker that can withstand raider attacks in the lawless wasteland. During one such attack, the rig's crew are nearly wiped out. The rig's commander, Praetorian Jack, and Furiosa are the only survivors. Furiosa attempts to steal the rig and drive back to the green place, but Jack easily thwarts her. However, Jack recognizes her potential, and she's promoted to the rank of Praetorian. He offers to train her to escape the Citadel if she helps him rebuild his crew. Eventually, the two fall in love and resolve to one day run away together. Immortan Joe decides to attack Gastown as Dementis' mismanagement has led the facility to near ruin. He orders Jack and Furiosa to collect weapons and ammunition from the Bullet Farm, an allied mining facility. However, Dementis ambushes the war rig when it arrives, having preemptively attacked and captured the Bullet Farm. Furiosa and Jack barely escape, but Furiosa's left arm is severely injured, and Jack is forced to abandon the war rig. Dementis catches up with their unarmed escape vehicle and tortures Jack to death. Furiosa only escapes by cutting off her injured arm, consequently severing her last ties to the green place in order to survive. She returns to the Citadel as an unidentified male loner and looks on from a distance. A 40-day war ensues, during which most of Dementis' horde is killed. Having lost her lover and her path home, Furiosa shaves her head, replaces her arm with a mechanical prosthetic, and engages in a solo pursuit of the warlord as he flees with the remnants of his horde. After an extended chase, she eventually isolates a weakened, dehydrated Dementis in the desert and identifies herself to him, surprising him. She demands back the life and years he took from her, but Dementis taunts her, reminding her that he lost his entire family and that revenge will not make her whole. In a voiceover, a narrator suggests that rather than kill him, Furiosa spared Dementis, but imprisoned him in the Citadel, using his living body as a fertilizer to grow a peach tree from the peach pit she picked during her last day in the green place. For her services, Immortan Joe promotes Furiosa to Imperator and gives her command of the new war rig. She eventually meets Joe's 5 remaining wives in the vault where Joe once held her prisoner. In the final scene, the 5 wives hide in Furiosa's war rig the night before another supply run, which of course leads directly into Mad Max Fury Road, the original Mad Max film featuring Furiosa as played by Charlize Theron. So that's where the movie ended. And it's going to be tricky for me to tell you what I thought of this movie because I think I'm probably in the minority just based on other reviews I've already seen and other impressions of the film I've already seen, which are all glowing, which on the one hand surprises me, but on the other hand doesn't, because of course, Mad Max Fury Road won the Oscar for Best Picture the year it came out, which at the time stunned me greatly for the same reasons that I'm surprised by why people seem to think this movie is fantastic. I can't deny that the cinematography is amazing, that the editing is amazing because both those things are in fact amazing in this movie. The vision of this film, the production design is amazing. So I think this film does in fact deserve many accolades in technical areas. But I don't think those technical achievements are enough to win it a Best Picture Oscar. So I will be surprised if it's nominated and more so if it wins. But I'm getting ahead of myself. And I'm getting ahead of myself because of what happened with the last film in this saga, which is very similar. So having said all those kind things about it, here's what I'm going to say. Having watched it, I still had to go back and read that Wikipedia synopsis that I just paraphrased for you because I didn't know what the hell was going on. And that just may be because I'm dim, but like I couldn't tell who was whose troops and whose men and what from the others because to me they all look the same. Now I know that there was the one group who all the guys were painted in white and bald and shirtless, and I know that was one team. But like the other team to me was just other weirdly attired people on crazy vehicle contraption things. So they all seemed like the same group of people to me. And again, that may be me. And you know, obviously you can tell by who's shooting at who, who's the enemy of who, but like sometimes to me it wasn't clear what camp we were in during other parts of the movie because all of the places where the people lived look post-apocalyptic in the same exact way. They're all in the desert. The people are, like I said, they're all dressed oddly. They all have weird contraptions. And you know, Furiosa is not really on either of the teams that she's on during the course of this film. I mean, she is, but like only because she has to survive. She's not really happy to be where she is, and she's not really like on the team, you know? She's going through the motions of being on the team to survive. And so that in my head made it less clear what camp we were looking at because she was equally opposed to both camps. She didn't like Dementis and she didn't like Emerton Joe and his people. So like she was the enemy of both of them. So I don't know. I lost track of. Oh, I suppose I shouldn't have. Again, maybe it's me, but I like lost track of what was going on. And I don't know. Maybe it's something that would come across better on a second viewing. But like, I just didn't get it. I didn't get it. I didn't really get the last one. And some have said to me that that's because I never saw the original three Mad Max films, which is something I should probably remedy at some point. But like, I didn't get it. And you know, it just seemed odd to me that it's post-apocalyptic and resources are scarce and all that, but they're all throwing around fire bombs and using fire weapons constantly. And they have microphones that work on electric power, and there's not a solar panel in sight. So like, is it a wasteland or isn't it? Are resources crazy scarce or aren't they? Like, I didn't understand that. Like, if they're not super scarce, then why did everybody go feral and devolve into different camps of warlords and, you know, whatever else? And if they are that scarce, then why are they like constantly shooting off little fire bombs and fire arrows? And in the last movie, they had a guy playing a guitar on a giant rig that blew fire and smoke in the air, like just for show. Why are they using electric powered microphones? Like, did they not like nobody built a solar panel in this apocalypse? Like, I don't know. Seems to me like in all the other apocalypse shows and movies in the post solar panel world that we live in, people use solar panels and they use hydroelectric power and stuff like that. You don't see any of that. Yet they're throwing around fire bombs, like I said, repeatedly and using microphones with power, and they have it's vehicles. Like, what? I don't understand that. I love Anya Taylor-Joy. I didn't love her in this movie. I remember liking Charlize Theron in the part better. I always liked Hemsworth as Thor. I've not seen any of his other work, but in this, I didn't really like him. His Australian accent threw me way off because it's really thick. I mean, I understood every word he said, but it just grated on me for some reason, and that's not his fault. So maybe that's an unreasonable critique. But I thought that this character he was playing was just an alternate version of Thor, like a multiversal version of Thor. The beard, the hair, the cape, the kind of chest piece thing he was wearing. It was like watching a Thor variant. And so I thought that was a mistake, made by the director and whatnot. And in the early parts of the film, where he's a younger version of this character, Dementis, he has red hair and a giant red beard and a red bicycle handle mustache, which is fine, except that it looked fake because it probably was fake. And it looked like he was cosplaying as a guy with a beard and mustache. And that annoyed the crap out of me. And then later in the movie, when it looks to be like more natural hair because he's gone gray and stuff, the beard still looks fake. And I was like, what? He looks like old fat Thor from the Avengers movie with a badly done beard that he had in that movie. So that drove me nuts. And I don't know, aside from the very obviously well done and perhaps groundbreaking camera work that was done in this movie, and the great editing and the great production design, I think this movie is a stinker. And, I guess if I'm in the minority on that, I'll have to be happy being in the minority on that. But didn't like it. That's really all I can say. So I'm going to get out of here for now. I'll be back with another video soon. Until I return, I wish you peace and long life.